How's it going, guys? Welcome back. I hope you're doing well. So today, what we're going to do is I have 3 advanced tips for you, or what I think to be advanced tips, um, that's going to help you smooth out your gameplay, kind of help maybe that missing piece. It's helping you weave everything together, and to help make your play style a little more fluid. Now, this can be applied to all 3 weapons, some more, some less, but they all have a place in all weapons and all playstyles. So before we do, some of you may know I do like to do unscripted content. So if it does get a little long-winded, I will have the chapters down below for easy navigation. Now with that out of the way, those 3 are, and I'm going to do a little bit different today. I'm going to be showing you some things in the training grounds, but then also I'm going to cut it up with a small fight with a boss, just to highly demonstrate the tip and the technique. And I'm going to be oversampling it, right? So I'm really going to do it more than I usually would, just to really, drive the point home. But with that out of the way, the 3 tips are going to be dodge sprinting and when to use your L sprint, right? Your left stick, or when to hold circle or your dodge button. So dodge sprinting, guard canceling, and standing sprint attacks. All right. So first things first, we're going to go over dodge sprinting for the first thing. So dodge sprinting. So as some of you may know, you can sprint with your left stick. So I have my overlay up here so you can see. So if you're walking, you click your left stick and you enter a sprint. Now, one thing before we do dodge sprinting is, some of you may know, you may not know, you can actually change your sprint keys while you're sprinting. So if I sprint, you see I clicked my left stick and I'm sprinting, I can shift to my dodge and hold circle to sprint. So starting out, I can either click my left stick to sprint, or I can hold my dodge button, which will initiate a dodge into a seamless sprint. Now, I can change that bind mid-sprint. So if I'm sprinting with my left stick, I can dodge sprint, and then I can relay it back to my left stick by clicking my left stick and letting go of my dodge button. This will allow me to dodge again if I need to, right? Without a weird delay where you have to let go of sprint and then re-click it, right? Or let go of your dodge button and then re-click it to dodge. Right? This is going to allow you to be more reactive in fights. Now, with that being said, let's get into dodge sprinting. So if you're, again, that can play a role with when you're just navigating a map, when you're mobbing, or as you're fighting a boss, right? If you go and hit a dodge sprint and then you click, right, into your left stick to allow you to sprint around, finish your sprint if you need, and then re-dodge again, right? You can do that. If some of you watching this video have watched the stream, you see I do this all the time. I'm constantly switching where I'm sprinting from, and then I relay it back to my stick, back to my circle, back to my stick, right? So it does come in handy a lot in a fight. But with that small side note aside, let's get into dodge sprinting. So dodge sprinting is going to serve a couple purposes. Again, if you're watching this video for advanced tips, you've probably beaten the game, or at least farther in the game. So let's talk about Traka. Some of you probably know this and have only used this in the Traka fight. When she does her bullet hose, you dodge the first one, and then you hold sprint, and then you run around the arena, and all the bullets, her little water projectiles go. But this serves a very nice purpose in normal fights, especially with slow enemies, but not all the time with slow enemies. Sometimes if an enemy has lower recovery frames on a final attack, this is very good to get behind them. So to get backstab damage, if I were to take an attack from this enemy, and I were to dodge and then try to sprint, you see that there's some recovery frames after my dodge, right? There's a little lag, there's almost a stick, right? Now, this can be kind of cumbersome, especially with the turn speed to an enemy. So with the dodge sprint, oh, just lagged right there. With the dodge sprint, go ahead and put him in offensive. You can see that I can do it backwards as well, right? It's going to be really easy to get behind my opponent and start attacking immediately, right? So I have all this time to attack. Now, if I were to do this with just a dodge and then a sprint, you see it's a little weird, right? So I'll show you again. So if I were to do this with just a dodge and then a sprint, you see it's not really as effective. There's a lot of frames there where he recovers and he's able to re-attack or reface me. But if I dodge sprint, I'm taking advantage of every single frame that I possibly can to get behind him and to resume attacking. Now, this not only serves a purpose with getting behind your opponent, but initiating a sprint attack, right? So sometimes, and with different weapons, there's a little bit of a delay for each type of weapon, you have a neutral attack, right? But dodge attacks can be very powerful. So going immediately into a dodge sprint will open up your moveset into all different types of attacks. With dual wield, right? Let's say I really like going into Howling Blade, right? And I can do that by using Wind Chaser. So I can immediately start my combo. Oh, hit the burst there, right? Or, again, dual wield users out there, Outrage is a very good skill, which can immediately stagger. So I can immediately get behind him, get backstab damage, right? By just using the dodge sprint. See, and now that I'm behind him, enemies have a harder time regaining poise once you're behind them. So if you're attacking from behind getting backstab damage, some enemies are unable to poise out of that. See? So very good ability to use not only on bosses, some random enemies, but it's very good to help smooth out your gameplay, but it also bleeds into the other tips, right? Which is the standing dodge attack. But for this tip's sake, just know that you can use your sprint button, you can use your dodge to initiate your sprint, right? Which is very good because you can quite literally just start running circles around your opponents, right? So your dodge sprint, going into your sprint attacks, can be very, very powerful and help smooth out your gameplay quite a bit. Now, I'll also show you here, so you can see another weapon. So if I were to use, let's do a spear. It's another example. I have my spear tree set up. Good. So with the spear, just to show you one more example, another weapon, if I don't want to start with a neutral, right? Or if I don't, let's say I want to go into 0 point, but I don't want to start, I want a faster initiation than a potent blow, right? The standing potent blow is quite slow, but it will lead into 0 point. But let's say I want to get to 0 point, but I don't want to use the potent blow. I could use a dodge, right? But we know that a dodge is going to consume a little more stamina than a sprint, just a normal sprint. But if my enemy is attacking, right, and I want to get into 0 point, I don't want, this is going to take a lot of time if I do this, right? So instead, I can dodge sprint and immediately hit a vital strike, right? Say it one more time. You see, very nice, very nice. So dodge sprints are extremely useful, very useful for repositioning behind your opponent, but also into seamlessly getting into your sprint attacks, because some weapons have different sprint attacks, right, than dodge attacks. So dodge attack versus a sprint attack. Luckily for the spear, they're the same, but another one, as an example, would be the greatsword. So actually here, I'll show you the greatsword as well. Just put on a random greatsword there. Oh, my training grounds is a little laggy. Here, check some out here. So we can see helm break, right? So here's a really good example, especially for greatsword users. Now, because the greatsword has heavy pressure, increase the charge speed of attacks following a charge attack, this really can open up and speed up the greatsword by quite a bit. So let's say I want to get behind my opponent and I don't want to use a guard, right? I don't want to use counter strike, or I don't want to use ghost arm block. I want to get behind my opponent and I don't have enough spirit or fury to use inner fury, right? So with the greatsword, we know that the dodge attack consumes a lot of stamina. The dodge itself and then the dodge attack is very costly. Now if I use a sprint attack, we see it uses a little bit of stamina, but it uses both stamina to close the distance, but also charge and attack. This is going to save you time, especially on an exhausted enemy, than doing either a standing savage momentum or something like that. So because we have heavy pressure and helm break counts as a charge, we can get behind our opponent, use helm break, and then use a Phantom Knight's Veil. And it's going to be increased because helm break counts as a charge, and which is going to speed up our next charge attack, right? So the dodge sprint can open up your playstyle to a whole new level by just comboing your sprint, right? After your dodge. Easy backstabs. Okay, so with that in mind, here's going to be a quick fight with Bella on the dual wield to help illustrate this a little more.
Another of Ozma's assassins? Come, see what happened to all the others.
Alright, so that was the Bella fight there. So now we're going to move on to the next tip. So this next tip is going to be guard canceling. Now, keep in mind again, I just want to reiterate, all of these tips they're used in conjunction with each other. Not only that, but incorporating them into your playstyle to help make your gameplay more fluid and to help kind of round out the edges, right? Because these things, I feel like they're the final puzzle pieces to really help you become completely fluid with the combat in the game. In short, I think that all of these things, what they do is if I could describe it, they minimize the recovery frames and they help you capitalize on the enemy's recovery frames as much as possible. So the next thing we're going to talk about is guard canceling. So guard canceling, what this is going to do is this is going to eliminate or at least reduce as much as possible your recovery frames from all of your attacks. This is not only going to help you get into another attack faster, but it's also going to help regain as much stamina as you can. So you can see, if I do a dodge, or let's say if I do a potent heavy, you see how much time it takes for my stamina to start regenning? I basically have to go through all of my recovery frames until it starts regenning. Now if I were to guard cancel and cut my recovery frames early, you see how much faster that is? I start, I immediately block, and I guard cancel those recovery frames, and my stamina starts regenerating that much faster. Now, picture you do that 10 times in a fight. I know it's a lot of, it's a lot of dexterity and button pressing, but imagine how much stamina and time you save for your stamina actually regenerating. This also is extremely useful. So let's see if I can, real quick. This is extremely useful when you exhaust all of your stamina. So when you exhaust all of your stamina, there's a delay before your regen starts, right? Now if I were to guard cancel, let's say I do an attack, I have to wait for my recovery frames, and then I have to wait for the delay of the actual stamina, right? Now if I were to do an attack that exhausts my stamina, and then I guard cancel, it's going to start that much faster. Now this doesn't eliminate the delay, right? But it shortens the delay enough to where you can start regenerating your stamina faster. Now this is even more noticeable on the spear. Again, I do have my spear tree up. So if I were to use 0 point. Now 0 point and Shadow Reversal have some of the longest recovery frames in the game. So you see how long it takes my stamina to regen. Now if I were to show you that one more time. Now if I were to guard cancel, see that? It's almost instant, right? So we see that compared to this, the regen is almost instant, right? Now again, imagine you're doing that. Imagine you exhaust all of your stamina and you hit a 0 point. Try this again. A lot of stamina, especially with the rings. So we see here, that's essentially the amount of stamina, right? Now imagine you hit that on a boss, they recover from exhaustion, and then you're sitting there with no stamina. Now I guard cancel, stamina comes back a little faster. That can save you. That can save you more times than you would imagine, especially when you take into account the fact that you need stamina to perform a burst counter, right? So if you're caught with literally 0 stamina and you try to do a burst counter, you're not going to get it. So let's say you have 0 stamina. I'm trying to burst counter, I can't. See, I have 0 stamina. As soon as I get a little bit of stamina, it gives it back to me. So that guard cancel getting you that stamina back can actually save you so often. But to further illustrate the guard cancel frame recovery, I'm going to show you two things here. And again, I'm going to use 0 point and I'm going to use shadow reversal, that initial stab of shadow reversal, as a drastic example. So I'm going to try to chain a spirit skill after 0 point. So I want you to see how long it takes. And you're going to see on my controller that I'm just going to mash the input. So 0 point. Okay, let me actually real quick turn this on to unlimited. So you see how long that takes. And then if I were to try to do it again, so you see that tempo there. So now watch with guard canceling. Let's see it with another skill. This is with guard canceling. So let's see without guard canceling. Guard canceling. Without guard canceling. Alright, let's do Crescent Strike. Now let's guard cancel. And we can even do the first part. So let's say you don't have it upgraded. Now with guard canceling. Right, so you can see, and I won't do every skill in the game, but, you know, it heavily reduces your recovery frames. Crescent Strike, Spiral Thrust, Afterimage Thrust, Gust, Furious Swipe, all of your spirit skills, if you need to chain them together, or if you need to have a break, right, if you need to guard cancel to initiate another skill right after to help you negate damage, something like that, right? You can do that. You can also do it after trance. Trance is pretty quick, but there is some slight recovery frames. So that's without guard canceling. This is with guard canceling. Right? Another one, 0 point, or shadow reversal. Again, let's use this as one more example. With shadow reversal, you can see the fastest spirit skill, and this is just specific to trance. If you don't want to do the follow-up, you can use trance to vary your playstyle. Now, if I were to try another spirit skill, it is extremely delayed. So watch this. So we'll do shadow reversal into spiral thrust. So you see how delayed that is. And again, you can see on my overlay that I'm spamming that input. Now watch with guard canceling. It's almost instant, right? Try Crescent Strike. Now we do guard canceling. So guard canceling, and not even just chaining your stamina and spirit skills together, is going to be extremely helpful in becoming more fluid with the gameplay. This also is going to help you in initiating different skills and lowering your recovery frames. Not only chaining certain skills together, but being able to manipulate your skills that actually do flow together. So as an example, let's say I use a neutral nimble blitz with dual wield. My next forward dodge is going to be deafness. Let's say I want to reinitiate with a sprint attack. If I go forward and try to sprint, I'm going to get deafness. If I try to do it with the left stick, there's going to be a long delay. Now let's say I want to get back in again with a sprint attack. Right? Then I can guard cancel. So guard canceling has a very, like, it's insane amount of applications. Again, I'll let you, again, you integrate it into your own playstyle wherever you want to help you speed up. But just know its main goal is to lower, or sometimes, just basically lower your recovery frames as much as possible. That's what it's doing. It is eliminating or lowering your recovery frames to put you in a neutral state. Because again, that's what you're going to be, right? Because in this example, right, this state that I'm in with dual wield is either I go into a Howling Blade or a forward dash. I'm in a combo state, basically, right? I'm in a combo state where my directional inputs actually matter. It puts you in a neutral state to resume doing whatever you need, right? So back in that neutral state to either sprint, get a normal dodge, or a neutral state dodge, or start your spirit skills. So like as I said earlier, you can do that with Gust. So that, honestly, that is guard canceling in a nutshell there. And also, to help demonstrate this, I'm going to have a fight with Rankus to help illustrate guard canceling. And again, I'm going to over-illustrate it with the spear, with those main two things, with 0 point and shadow reversal, that initial stab. Other than that, and again, it applies to all weapons. And again, for those of you who may be watching this coming from the stream, you guys see me do this every day. It's very, very many applications. But this is one of the biggest ones that's going to help you smooth out your playstyle. Alright, now for the last and final tip, advanced tip, I would say, we're going to go into standing sprint attacks. The reason why I call them standing is because you can do them virtually from standing, right? So I'm going to use this as an example. I did illustrate this a little bit earlier with Helm Break with the Greatsword, but I'm just going to use dual wield as this example. So if I go to my skill tree, my sprint attacks, I have 2 sprint attacks. I have one is Wind Chaser, right? And then I have Outrage. So my neutral state, my standing swift attack is this. My standing potent blow is this. Now my sprinting swift attack is this, but I follow up with a potent blow. So that's sprint attack, potent blow. That's Wind Chaser. Swift attack, potent blow. Now, potent blows can stagger your enemy, right? So that's something to keep in mind. So if I want a very quick potent blow, I can hit Wind Chaser, or I can hit my Outrage. Now, dual wield users, we know Outrage very well, right? But the thing is that you can do it basically from standing. So if you look at my stick here, and again, this kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier with dodge sprints. right? Which can help you if your enemy's attacking you. You can strafe around them, dodge sprint with your dodge sprint. But if your enemy is, if you don't want to get behind them, you just want to continue attacking, or you would rather initiate the fight, right, with a sprint attack, right? And again, this can work very well with greatsword as well, just to, you know, again, illustrate the point with the other weapons. You can use a standing helm break, basically standing into helm break, and that will allow you to go into combat cadence and then mortal blow, etc. Or if you're using the spear, you can do just an initial standing vital strike, basically, because this is going to serve two purposes. One, it's going to give you an opening or an option to use your sprint attack rather than a dodge attack, even though sometimes they may be the same. Sometimes they may be the same, but a dodge is always going to use more stamina than an initial sprint. So you see, if I want to use, let's say, well, dual wield, they're different. The dodge attacks and the sprint attacks are going to be different. But we can just even say, if I want to use the dodge sprint, dodge into sprint, that uses a lot of stamina. Now, if I want to use a standing sprint attack, uses much less stamina, but it still gets the stagger of outrage, and it still allows me to get into outrage or wind chaser if I need. Now, the way to do this, in my opinion, the easiest way, is to think of you move forward and instantly press your stick. So you see that? And the way you can test that you're doing it right is, again, you can carry out your attack, or you can see your character's movement. So if I just press forward, you see the animation of just resetting my feet. Now if I sprint, you see I do a slide. Once you initiate that sprint, as soon as your character is considered sprinting, your moveset will change. So again, the reason why I call it standing is because, let's say I don't want to initiate the fight by just standing here doing a light attack into my Howling Blade Chain. I want to start by using a Wind Chaser, which again, there's a potent blow in there. So if you're a gear set, let's say you're using, right, like the Pilgrim set, and you have a lot of potent blow bonuses, I want to maximize my potent blow usage, I can immediately pop into an outrage, right? Immediately pop in an outrage, or I can immediately pop into my Wind Chaser. If I'm using spear, let's say I don't want to do, a dodge into Vital Strike. I want to use a sprint attack into Vital Strike. It's still going to accomplish the same thing, right? I'm still going to get my Vital Strike into my 0 point or whatever else I want to do, but I'm not going to use a potent blow. So look at my stamina difference. Let me go a dodge attack into Vital Strike, or my standing sprint. Big difference, right? It's about half the usage. This can also work by sprinting backwards. So if you're sprinting backwards from your enemy, or you dodge sprint, right? It still is going to work because you're locked onto your enemy. You can do a backwards standing, forward standing. You can even do it to side and standing, right? Now backwards can serve a little bit more of a purpose if you want to like space your enemy, almost like a true dodge, right? Like true spacing rather than just an actual dodge. You can do either or. So that's the spear, right? Because again, the sprint attack is different from the dodge attack. So if you want the sprint attack, you can basically do it from standing. You don't have to, gain any momentum or anything like that to do that. You can just do it from standing. Now again, the reason why I would say that this is an advanced tip is because your sprint attacks and dodge attacks are very different for all weapons or can serve different purposes, right? It allows you to, I think it just opens up the vision of the tools that you have available, right? So there's a lot more tools available to you at different times than you might think, right? So again, just one more time to illustrate the point, if I want to start the fight with a sprint attack, I don't have to, gain any momentum, any distance, right? I can just start the fight right into my Howling Blade if I need it. or I can, you know, again, I would guard canceled and I tried to charge there, but again, if I want to stagger him, see, I can do an instant sprint attack. So, oh, he's almost, you know, he's almost staggered. I don't want to give him a chance to hit me. Let me just do this. Oh, he's about to hit me. Immediate sprint. Potent blow. Right? So standing charge attacks, again, with all weapons, I use every single time I play. Because again, what it's doing is it's giving you the option. Do I want to start the fight like that? I can. Do I want to start the fight by just doing this? Guard cancel. Guard cancel. Let me do another sprint attack. And this is why, again, they all come into play together. All the tips. So let's say I'm doing an attack. I'm fighting. Oh, I want to do a sprint attack. Guard cancel. Reset to neutral. Right? So honestly, guys, that's all I got for you. I hope you guys enjoyed these 3 tips. Again, they may seem small, but incorporating them into your gameplay may prove, because again, it's going to change the way that you see the game a little bit, right? The game has quite a bit more depth than what it may seem at face value. So I hope that these 3 tips can help round out your gameplay, help speed you up a little bit more, right? And kind of get you that extra depth in the combat that the game has to offer. Because again, once you get into New Game Plus and once you get, you know, more comfortable with the combat, the goal is to attack as much as possible, right? Because you can, as long as you have the resources to attack, you can. So yeah, again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything else that you can think of that I might have missed, or if you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.